well, right? Okay, right. Let's go to the next one. Right. So these are the structures that you have to know, right? So you have the cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, ribosomes, mitochondria, right? And also, actually, you can see that two colors are used because children, these are the common ones, and these are only present in the plant cell, right? So you can see this is a animal cell and this is a plant cell. So these are the one. Sorry. Oh, I think. Right. Is it clear to all of y'all? Right. Okay. So you all can see here, right? So cell membrane. Actually, now we will be learning about the individual function also. So this is just a diagrammatic representation for you guys to understand what are the cell components, cell structures, and where they are located. So cytoplasm. So see, it's common for both plants and animals. But if you speak about the vacuole, it's actually present in animal cell as well, but it's not a very permanent structure, right? So we say like a temporary vacuole, right? But if you see the plant cells, they have a permanent vacuole. So that right. So let's now go to each. Yeah. So actually the structures, thin flexible structures. So let's try to talk about this. So now children, they say the position. So outer layer that surround the cell. The features are they are semi-permeable. What is actually meaning that semi-permeable, right? So actually our cell membrane is considered as a semi-permeable membrane. Why semi-permeable? Because semi-permeable means actually it allows, or else we can say that it is a selectively permeable. So which means that selectively permeable means it allows some substances to pass through. So that's why this is a cell membrane. It is a thin flexible structure. Actually, another definition, I would like to give you another definition. So it could be like it controls the entry and exit of materials. Okay, so these are the functions, boundary between cells, the interior and the exterior environment. And remember children, it's not only the cell contains a membrane, sometimes some organelles means inside this there are some organelles. So these organelles also contain some membrane. So in that case this definition will be ideal. Because why? Because it is usually the separation of interior and the exterior. Example, I would say like hydrolytic enzymes. You know, like the vacuole, uh, like there's a special one, lysosomes, right? So what are lysosomes? The lysosomes contains hydrolytic enzymes. So these hydrolytic enzymes cannot be exposed outside the cell. For an example, I'll draw and show you. So these hydrolytic enzymes. So these are inside. So these are inside the lysosomes. So these are like chemicals that are capable of digesting. So what will happen if you release them outside the cell, maybe here, so it will start digesting the organelle. So that's why we need a separation between the outside and the inside. So that's why we say it is actually a boundary between the cell interior and the exterior to the environment. Right, it controls, I told this one, it controls the entry and exit of material. So I hope that this part is clear, right? If any questions, please ask. Right, so now let's talk about the cytoplasm. So by now you know actually cytoplasm is the jelly-like medium. So what happened here is it is, you can find it anywhere inside the cell, right? Usually it is found inside of the cell. That's why we call it interior of the cell. So speaking about the composition, it is actually mainly contained in water and dissolved nutrients. So this might include some, like salts, right? some vitamins, mineral ions, etc. Right? So they have also mentioned. Right. Now the function. Actually, why do we need a cytoplasm? Can a cell exist without a cytoplasm? No. Why? Because the cytoplasm actually maintain the osmotic regulation as well, more than this, right? So that means actually, and also we discuss here that the nutrients. So some chemical reaction, these nutrients are important, right? So it holds and protect the cell organelles, right? And also the majority of the cell chemical reactions occur in the cytoplasm. So I told you some chemical reaction, as it is a watery environment, what will happen is that they can do the reaction, the chemical reaction, right? So actually we will learn about those in detail. Right, now we are going to learn an important structure, right? This structure is actually the control center, which is the nucleus. So you know the position of the nucleus. This is in the plant cell and this is in the animal cell, right? So students, let's try to understand the significance. So actually, nucleus contains the genetic material, the DNA of the organism, right? So what does DNA stands for? Deoxy. What is DNA stand for? Anyone? So by now you should know actually what is DNA. Anyone would like to answer? What is the full form of DNA? Okay, so deoxyribonucleic acid, right? So then children, you can see here, uh, I told you that it contains a genetic material. That means now, for an example, when a cell divides, okay, when a cell divides, right, the information, the genetic information needs to go to the next cell as well, right? So in such a case, right, it will transfer this genetic information from that cell to the next cell. So that is actually with related to DNA replication. So when we are learning those lessons, you will understand because it actually have some characteristic information, right? So that is stored in the this nucleus. So it needs to be transferred, right? Okay. So the structure of the nucleus of the cell contains, so actually the chromosome. So actually inside, now you can see here in this structure, it's like a X-like a structure. Can you all see? So this is actually the nucleus. Sorry, the chromosomes. You can see here, it is inside the nucleus. So inside this chromosome only you have the DNA, right? So it is the, so formation of DNA we will be learning. So these chromosomes only contains the what? The DNA, right? So DNA is a double helical structure. We will learn about it. So you can see here, children. Can you all see? So I told it's a chromosome. So inside the chromosome, right? So actually this DNA keeps on winding, right? Winding around the DNA molecule. So we call it supercoiling. Then there is a histone protein. So it binds around it. So then it's supercoiling that we will learn that one shortly. Right. So actually, why is this DNA important? Actually, DNA, children, you can see here, it carries the genes. So these genes, what will happen? These genes contains a genetic code. Genetic code means it's like the information that need to, maybe for an example, an information of a protein, information for your eye color, right? So that's why I told it is the control center. So it contains the information, right? Everything about our cell, right? So here, so if you go to the DNA structure, actually it is containing, it's a double helical structure. So you can see it is having bases, right? And a sugar phosphate backbone. So this ladder-like structure. I hope that you all can see my mouse pointer, right? Uh, Yeah, okay, I think it's visible. Right. The next one. Next one is nucleus continuation. So let's try to recap. So actually, it controls every cellular activities, right? Because it contains the DNA. I told you DNA contains all the necessary information to run a cell. So what are the activities? Metabolism, production of new substances, growth and repair, cell division, right? And then the genetic code, we spoke about the genetic code. Actually, it's the set of rules that governs how the body function. So maybe like for the production of a necessary protein, right? Uh, right. Okay. So now the gene contains the code of the information that determines a characteristics inherited from a parent. So for an example, an eye color, if you take eye color, right? So maybe this eye color was black and this was inherited by one parent. Okay. So what will happen? So it needs to go to the child, right? So in a such a way, actually that you don't need to learn the detailed process right now. So what you need to understand what is this gene mean. So genes contains a code of the information that determines the characteristics of an inherited from a parent, right? So it, right. Let's go to the next one. So see, I told you about the eye color, height, blood type, time. So all these characters are determined by the parents, right? So during reproduction, so the two cells get together and there is a shuffling of genes. So whatever the character that is selected will be reflected in the phenotype. Right. Now, don't worry about those definitions we will be learning. So our ultimate goal is to identify the structures and its basic function, right, for this module. Right. Speaking about ribosomes, now you can see the plants as well as the animal cell contain the ribosomes. So usually these are very small structures and not are able to, I mean, they are not visible to the naked eye. So definitely we need a microscope. So speaking about the location, children, it is located anywhere of the cytoplasm, right? So you can see here the location, right? Actually, what is the function of this the ribosome? So usually ribosomes are involved in protein synthesis. Okay, right. Protein synthesis. That means the manufacturing of proteins, right? Okay. So what does it do? Ribosomes read the instructions in the genetic code and uses them to assemble. So that is, I told you about the DNA replication. So from the nucleus, whatever the information will come to the ribosome. So the ribosome will read that information and it will be synthesized as a protein, right? And then let's go to the significance of proteins in living organisms. So I told you the ribosomes is actually an important structure because it is involved in synthesizing proteins, right? Why these proteins are important? Because the proteins actually makes up the majority of the cells of all living things, right? So example, children, like if you speak about the proteins, there are structural proteins and functional protein. So anyone can give me an example of a structural protein? Sorry, anyone? Structural proteins, that means with related to structure. What is it? Anyone? Collagen, right? The skin, right? So those proteins are involved in structures. Then children, there is another one, functional proteins. So these proteins are involved in function. So I'll little bit note it down for you guys, right? So they are a structure, right? Structure related then functional. So structure related proteins actually they are related to the structure. So they are most of the time they are what kind of proteins? Fibrous proteins, okay? fibrous proteins. Then functional proteins are mainly globular proteins. So function means like hormones, right? Hormones, so and so on, right? Structural proteins with related to body structure, like connective tissues, with so and so on. So the body structural components and also enzymes. So I told you these enzyme components, children, this is a functional protein, okay? Functional protein, right? Then the majority of the components in the body makes the use of proteins. Proteins are crucial. Why they have said crucial here? Because it is very important. Because because I told you that majority of the living organisms are based on these proteins. For the growth, we need proteins. For the repairing, right? Later on, towards the last part, I mean, towards the end of these lessons, you will understand why proteins are important, because proteins control almost all the activities, right? So, like that. Crucial means actually like it is very important there, right? Okay, it's really vital, it's really needed. Okay, like that. If you have any issues, you can ask, right? That means it's very important actually. Okay, it's really needed. That means without that, actually, it cannot function. Okay, the word crucial means, okay. So it's highly, that means it is very, very important. It's very special, something like that. Okay, it's really important, right? Okay. So like that, if you have any issues, please ask. Then children, so because why? That I told you about the growth children, right? So without now, if these proteins are not available, actually there are these growth hormones. I told you, children. So those hormones are actually will not function, right? So repairing of cells need proteins and also the development, right? So the next one is the mitochondria, right? So actually mitochondria is like the powerhouse. It's like the electricity house, right? So it's like a powerhouse actually. So in short summary, it's the place where it produces energy, right? So actually you can see both the cells contain the mitochondria, right? Actually, it is a tiny component embedded in the cytoplasm. So usually children, remember, if any cell is having mitochondria, that means it is metabolically active. That means it's active cell. So most of the time, right? Especially our leg muscles, hand muscles, right? Where we do intensive activities, right? We have this uh, high proportion of mitochondria. So proportion of mitochondria means, students, actually that cell is metabolically active. That means like that. Right. Yes, Indika, you have any problem? Okay. If you ask, please send me a message or you can openly speak up. Right. Children, actually powerhouse of the cell. So I already told you. So actually, this is just the general definition. But if you try to go in detail, children, it is the site of aerobic respiration. What is this aerobic respiration? Hmm? Aerobic respiration means actually, respiration is what? It is a process where we produce energy. So aerobic respiration means actually with the help of oxygen, O2 is used, right? Aerobic. So actually it is the oxidation of glucose. So we take glucose and we oxidize it and we produce energy. So we will learn the respiration process. For the time being, you remember it as site where aerobic respiration take place. I hope that is clear to all of you all. Right. Then children, they release the energy required for other cell activities or cellular processes, right? Okay, by utilizing the food source. So here children, utilizing the food sources means what I'm referring is children, yeah, but it's glucose, okay? So here it should be glucose, okay? Glucose. So it is C6H12O6. Right. Is it clear to all of you all? Right. Next one. Okay, so animal cell lack certain organelles that are present in the plant cell. They contain plant cell wall, vacuole, and chloroplast. So now let's little bit look into that. So talking about the cell wall, children, right? So any animal cell will never have a cell wall, right? Okay. So actually, the reason is we will learn shortly, because the animal cell is actually not always living in a watery environment, right? So actually, this cell wall is if water comes inside the cell, it can actually prevent cell bursting. So we will learn about this homeostasis and those things in the upcoming lesson. So for the time being, cell wall. So actually, it is always adjacent to the cell membrane, exterior to the cell membrane, right? So it is outside. You can see it, right? So what happens? This is a very tough layer, right? It is a tough layer. Actually, it is made up of children cellulose. It is a carbohydrate. It's a polysaccharide. So remember that one. So it is made up of a carbohydrate. It's a polysaccharide. It's known as cellulose. It is made up of cellulose. So what are the functions of it? Provide strength, protection, and support to the cell. I told you that it will never prevent the cell bursting, because these plants are living in like very harsh environmental conditions, like too much water sometimes, so then they should withstand that, and sometimes they don't have water during the dry seasons. So there are several adaptations. So actually, so mainly for the strength, protection, as well as support means, children, actually this is a very tough layer. So it can further become tough and can become tough structures in the plant, like the stem. So we will learn those. Vacuole. I told you animal cell also have a vacuole, but that is not a permanent structure. It disappears time to time. So, but if you speak about this plant cells usually have a permanent vacuole, right? So usually the majority of the cytoplasm is covered with that, children. So very easily we can identify. So actually we call it, it contains watery substance known as the cell sap. See, children, the cell sap, right? Actually, what is this cell sap contain? Water, nutrients, and other molecules, right? Like the water soluble proteins and etc. So, what is the function of it? It helps the plant cell to maintain a very firm shape, rigid, right? And also to store nutrients, right? Chloroplast. Now, I told you chloroplasts actually none of the animal cells will contain, because chloroplasts are white. It is involved in photosynthesis, right? You can see, right? Okay, the plants get its green color as a result of this, right? So what does it contain, children? It contains a pigment known as chlorophyll. This chlorophyll actually helps in the photosynthesis process. So what does it do? Actually, this chlorophyll can capture the sun's energy, right? So it captures the sun's energy, right? Sun's energy, and it can convert that. So actually, it is, children, the light energy is converted to the, the chemical energy, right? Energy, right? And this chemical energy is used to synthesize the organic molecule. Those are the carbohydrates, like the ones we eat, the fruits. We will learn, right? So it is a green pigment, contain chlorophyll along with this thing, and also it contains the enzymes needed for our photosynthesis. So I told you that enzymes are, now already all know enzymes are proteins, right? Enzymes are proteins, so they are biological proteins. Then, children, the chlorophyll. So I told you it captures the sun's energy. Harvest means it just captures. So it gives the plants their green color. Yes, we learned about that. Right. Speaking about the function. So actually, the photosynthesis can take place only inside this chloroplast, right? It has different compartments because it has several types of reactions, light dependent, light independent. So at different sites, it do the photosynthesis. So by trapping sunlight, energy, storing energy, right? So and so on. Right. Right. Okay. Now let's try to compare and contrast the animal and the plant cells. So you can see, children, these are it's like a small Venn diagram for you all to understand, right? You will be getting a summarized notes along with the presentations. So you can see, children, the cell membrane here, right? This cell membrane is common to both nucleus, cytoplasm, and ribosomes, mitochondria also, right? Okay. Oh, sorry. Robotic, right? So you can see, actually, children, this should be cell wall here, right? Okay, there should be a small typing error. This should be a cell wall. So I'll write it for you guys. Yeah, right. So children, let's see this one. Okay, so this is cell membrane. So they have given the definition. So cell membrane is found in what, children? Both. You can say. Now you all can recall yourself whether cytoplasm present in both. What about the nucleus? Yes, present in both. Mitochondria, children? Both. Very good. Yes. Yes. Very good. Some students are interacting. Very good. That's very nice. Yes. Ribosomes? Yes, present in both. Right. Children, you all are free to talk. Okay. Unmute and talk. No problem. Right. Children, what about the cell wall? You can see it is present only in the plants. And the vacuole, yes. So this is like the summary of what we have learned. Right. So it's a quick time. Right. So I'll be sharing a quiz to you on this plant and animals here. Give me a minute. So you all can start that. It's a easy one. So I'll share the link in the chat so all of you all can access. So you just simply click the link, children, and you will be directed to the uh, website. Okay, I'll post it in the chat to all of you all. Okay, click this link, children, everyone. Let's assess your knowledge on this, everyone. Yes, we have, yes, one student is already here. Others, quickly click. Okay, two students. Okay, what about the others? Shall we start? Right. So you all can assess yourself. So it's a MCQ. It's a like you all have to choose the answer. So let's start the quiz. Yes, anyone facing difficulties with the quiz? I don't see you all are responding. All right, okay. Yeah, only I think, yes, try all the questions. I think only, yeah, I think one student have already done. Very good. Okay, yes, your quiz time is up, right? So I hope that you all can see the screen, all of you all. Right. If it is visible, just confirm. Right. Okay. Okay. Now let's try to go to the next part of our lesson. Right, students. Now here we will be looking into the overview of photosynthesis and overview of aerobic respiration, because I told you all that we will be learning these parts in a while, right? So please, children, if you have any clarifications, you will have to ask it. Okay, right? Don't be silent. Just feel free to talk, right? Okay. So just be very interactive. Now, children, let's try to talk about photosynthesis, right? So photosynthesis is a process, right? Actually, what do they do in photosynthesis? They try to capture the sunlight and makes their own food. That is the simplest definition. So speaking about that, right, you can see here the requirements for photosynthesis. What are the requirements? So you can see here that you have chloroplast. That means we need chloroplast, right? we need chloroplast because the reason is chloroplast is considered as the what? One of the organelle that is really important, right? Important to what? To carry out photosynthesis, right? Okay. Then children, what is the next one? The light energy. So without light energy, it is really impossible. Photosynthesis process cannot be achieved. Why? Because with the help of light energy only, we can continue this process. So you can see the locations of this. So it is not only present children at one location, at multiple regions, multiple locations, right? Okay. So the chloroplast tracks the light energy for the reaction. So what does the chloroplast do? It just traps the sun's energy and they store it, right? Okay, right. Then let's see. So the definition of photosynthesis. So why this mark is there? So you have to know that definition. So actually it is a chemical process that produces glucose. Okay, produces glucose, right? Occurs in the chloroplast of the plant cell in which light energy is trapped and stored, right? So you should know that, right? So I told you it's a chemical process, the biochemical process where it produces glucose. Ultimate product of photosynthesis is glucose sugar, right? And location, chloroplast in plant cell. What does it do? The light energy will be trapped and stored in glucose. Let's try to understand it with a word equation. So you can see here the equation, right, of this one. So carbon dioxide, actually I told you that sun's energy and the chloroplast, but if you speak about the raw materials needed, children, so you can see here, what are the main raw materials needed? You need carbon dioxide, then you need water, right? So sun's energy. So along with these three, with the chloroplast, they can produce glucose. So there is a waste product. This waste product is the oxygen, right? Okay. So you should know the this one, the word equation as well as the chemical equation. Okay, right. So this is 6CO2. This is in the balance form, H2O, and this is the formula for glucose. So this you need to memorize. Okay. So if you need any important points, you all can take them, right? Okay. So remember that without sun's energy, this process is incomplete. Right. Let's try to go to the next one. Actually, use the products of the sugar. So now I told you that actually glucose is a sugar. So actually, this glucose is considered to be the plant's food. It is used to produce storage molecules, right? Here, oil or fat to store in seeds or cellulose. I told you, children, can you remember, right? Where can you find cellulose? In the cell wall of the plant. So this is the uh, chemical structure, right? I told you the word cellulose. So actually it is synthesized by the plant itself. So actually, right, this cellulose is a long chain glucose molecule, right? So it is a polymer, children. It is a polymer, right? Polymer of glucose, right? That means, children, polymer means it is a long chain like this way. Glucose units. So these boxes are the glucose units. So you can see here like that. Okay, like this long chain, right? Then it is not only in that, right? It is involving synthesizing, right? Synthesizing new cell walls, right? Because actually, when you have glucose unit, you can put them together and make a cellulose, right? It's like a structure like this way, right? And also it supports. AIDS means it helps, right? It helps, right, in protein synthesis, right? Okay. Then actually to produce energy through respiration. So this is also one because you learn children actually we will learn the respiration formula. So for the respiration formula children, actually glucose is a raw material. So actually photosynthesis produces glucose and oxygen. So I hope this is clear to all of you. Right. So I hope that yeah, you all can recall the formula. Can anyone? Yes. Yes, Sharon. Clear. So what is the answer going to be? Right. I think answer is yeah. Yeah, what's the answer going to be here, children? Carbon dioxide. So what? Can you remember? Yes, very good. I got answer from a student. Yes. Plus water give glucose plus oxygen. Right. Right. Right, children. Now let's go to the next part of the lesson. Right. Why living things needs energy, right? So all activities in life requires energy to carry out life processes within each and every cell. So you can see children, right? Now this is showing the cell division. So you can see children in order to carry out growth or the life process, right? We need energy. Example, now this is a cellular division. You can see the cells are divided. So this process cannot be completed as it is. It cannot be completed as it is. Why? Because it needs to do it with the help of some source of energy, right? Okay. So usually there are two types of chemical reactions, anabolism and catabolism. So this anabolism means children, you can put in materials and you can synthesize something like this, right? Anabolism. Remember the definition. What is anabolism? Very simple. It's making something. You have amino acids, you have energy, you make proteins. Clear? Good. Right. Okay. How do plants and animals produce energy? Right. Let's try to look at that. Okay. So here you can see plants by photosynthesis, animals by food intake. Why children? Why is that? Because animals don't have chloroplast where they cannot synthesize their own food. Okay, so it is not possible for them, right? So that's why whatever the plants produce, they are using it. Okay, so plants produce glucose, so we humans use it. Okay, Clear? Right. So actually what happens? So once we take food, so we take in the terms of glucose. So what happens, children? Glucose will be oxidized to produce energy, right? Okay. Okay, children. Right. Is it clear? Right. Mhm. Now, children, let's try to understand what is this aerobic respiration means. So the location. So by now you know the location is where? The mitochondria, right? Because mitochondria is the energy powerhouse. We already learned about that, right? So let's try to now focus ourselves about this respiration in detail. Right. So actually, children, about this respiration, right? So here that aerobic means it uses the oxygen. It is a chemical reaction that releases energy from ATP, right? Now you all will have a issue. What is this ATP means? It is known as adenosine triphosphate. Okay, adenosine triphosphate, right? So this is the energy currency. It is an energy molecule, right? It is actually uh, so our ultimate product is our ultimate reason for this aerobic respiration is that we needs to produce energy, right? So this energy will be formed in a form of ATP. Okay, so how do we do it, right? So actually we know this the substance such as glucose. This glucose is having bonds. So what we do, children, we will try to break the bonds and try to get those energy, and it will be trapped in this molecule, right? So this process can be done only during the presence of oxygen. So I'll repeat again. So aerobic respiration, we need glucose. So what are we going to do? We are going to break the bonds of this glucose, and that energy will be trapped in the ATP molecule. So in energy in the form of ATP. Clear? Right. The next one, right. It occurs frequently in animals and plants. Frequently means, children, frequently means regularly, right? Why? Because we need energy, even to talk, even to see, even to do something, right? Some activity, we need energy. Growth, repair, we have learned why, what are the places we need energy, right? So aerobic respiration. So this is the equation. You all can see that one, okay? And this is the chemical equation, so you should remember. So children, pay attention. We will have another quiz after this module, right? So please pay attention. Right. The next one. So photosynthesis versus the aerobic respiration. Now let's try to compare, children. So photosynthesis occurs in plants, respiration, plants and animals, right? See, right. Okay. And then the chloroplast. The chloroplast photosynthesis only uses the chloroplast because it is involved in that. And then respiration, what is the organelle involved? Mitochondria. Got it. And energy. Energy, what is energy they used here? Light energy. Uses light energy. Here they release energy. So actually photosynthesis is a energy use in process. But respiration is a release. So we can say that it's like yield, right? Okay, so this is what is happening in the equation. This is the word equation. You all can see that one. Carbon dioxide plus water with the help of sun's energy, chlorophyll, pigment is needed, glucose and oxygen. So this is glucose, oxygen, energy plus carbon dioxide. So children, you can see plus water also as a byproduct. So children, can you all see? I'm going to share you a tip here. So you don't need to remember both the formulas. If you can remember one formula, that's enough because it's the opposite completely. See, carbon dioxide plus water. This is the starting for photosynthesis, right? But that is the end for respiration. Got it, children? Right. So, right. So it's the quiz time. Let's try to first. Uh, okay. So can anyone give the functions of the chloroplast? Anyone? What are the functions of chloroplast? Anyone? You can speak up. Just simply unmute and speak. If you want, you can. Yes. Give the function of the chloroplast. Actually, what does the chloroplast do, children? It is involved in photosynthesis, right? It traps the sun's energy and it will convert that energy to chemical energy. Give the function of the cell wall. Anyone? So by now you should know what is cell wall. So it is acting as a barrier to the exterior and the interior environment. And then what happens? Control the entry and exit of materials. Right. Now let's go to the microscope types magnification. Right. So now children, why do we need a microscope? To see things that are not visible to our eye, right? So they can be like small things, small items, like especially the cellular organelles that are not visible. So we will be able to see them, right? Right. Now, so it is a tool that enlarge images of small objects, allow the observer to see detailed tiny structures, and it that cannot be observed using the naked eye. So you know these cellular structures are very small, children. So like it's not at all visible to our naked eye. So in such cases, we can use a microscope. Okay. So let's see the smallest object. The smallest object visible with the naked human eyes appropriately. That means children, our human eye can recognize only up to this much, right? Only up to this much. Okay. 0.1 millimeter. So beyond this, we can't actually. So anything smaller than this is not really, I mean, it's very difficult. So in such a case, children, we need to enlarge. So the purpose of the microscope is to enlarge. Now you can see here, plant cell is approximately 0.01 to 0.10. So which means to see all the cells in detail, we need a microscope because we can't identify the internal cellular structures, right? Okay. Children, any clarification? Let me know, right? Okay, right. So let's see now the types of microscopes available. So basically, children, there are two types, right? Light microscope, electron microscope. So electron microscope can be categorized into another two children. What is it? Transmission electron microscope In short, we call it TEM. All right. And then we have scanning electron microscope, which is the SEM. So this is actually the two main types, but for the light microscope, we don't have further classifications. So let's try to pay our attention towards the light microscope. So children, these are the parts you should know for the light microscope. Eyepiece, this part, right? And you have the swirl head, right? Children, sometimes depending on the microscope, the brands, it's different, right? These are the common stuff, right? So if you just see a real microscope, these main parts will be there, but there will be slight changes, right? Okay, maybe this you can see the course for these parts are there, right? What I mean is, children, depending on the brand, it might be slightly different. So you can see objective lens, and this is the stage, children. This is the place where we place the specimen, and you have the light source. Light microscope means, children, that's why we need a light source, right? And this is the fine focus. This is the coarse focus. Objective lens are available here. You can see, right? Then how to observe a sample? Children, in order to observe a sample, we should place it on a glass slide. Okay, it is a small rectangular slide like this way. Show you something like this. So we can place our specimen on it. Okay, maybe like we want to check some plant leaves, so we can place that sample here and we can observe. Okay, then children, then only we have to place it here where the slide is there. So light from the light source passes through the slide on the stage into the lens. So this light that is coming from the light source will pass through this stage. Actually, there is an opening place here, and then it will go to the lens, and then lens to the eye. That's how we see. So the observer will be able to see a magnified image of this sample, what we have placed here, right? Okay, right. Now the next one. So let's try to talk about the benefits. Right. So children, yes, very good. Actually, yes, we have a cover slip as well, right? Okay, it was not mentioned there. Yes, you are true. So children, yes, we have a cover slip because the reason is always on top of the glass slide. After you put that one, you have to have a cover slip. So cover slip is a transparent slip just on top of the sample, right? So if to draw that one, yes. So if this is the first one, this is the slide, and then you put the sample, and on top of this, we are going to place that. That is again, it's a cover slip. So it will cover the sample because sometimes without any contaminations we can observe. Yes, very good. Right. So like that, you all can clear your doubts. Good. So children, speaking about this microscope, right? There are instances. Actually, there are a lot of benefits as well as there are some disadvantages as well. So let's try to pay our attention towards the benefits. So we can observe living cells. Whatever the living cells also we can observe, right? Observe samples when relatively low magnification and resolution is enough. So examine samples of any size. So any size samples we can observe, and also relatively small and easy to operate. And also in addition to this children, I would like to say that it is portable. For an example, actually there are like electrical, like sometimes some light microscope you need to, like use the electricity, right? Some you don't. So such microscopes you can even take to the field, especially field research. So it is portable and it's relatively you can carry through. But whereas electron microscope you can't, it is stationary because we will learn why. So light microscopes have a relatively low magnification and resolution when compared to other microscope. So that's why if you need to see much detailed version, this is not going to be ideal. All right. And can magnify objects up to only a scale factor of 1500. So this is the magnification, the maximum magnification we can see. Then children. So this is the cell you can see children. Now this is a good representation. All of y'all can see. This is how we would really see. And you place it on the microscope and you will see it like this. Expansion of the cells. You can easily identify the cell structure. But make sure children, right? Detailed structures are not properly visible. Okay. So let's try to study the timeline of microscopes. So pay attention, children. You will have a small quiz activity on this one. So what happens in 1590? So you can see. So this is just for your information, right? So you can see, children. This was the first compound microscope introduced in this year. This is just an understanding, right? So actually, you can magnify up to 3 to 9 times only. So it is a compound microscope. So then here at 1650, the Robert Hooke, the British scientist, so he was able to observe and draw cells by using the compound microscope. Then children, late 16,000, sorry, 1,600, yeah. So here 1600, sorry. So this is the Antonio. So he's a Dutch scientist. So what happened was he was able to microscope with a single spherical lens. So here now you can see children, right? As the time advanced, the technology also advanced. So like this, you can see here 3 to 9 times. See, now it has been upgraded to 275. So can you all see children? So now we can even see further cellular structure. So then later on, what happens? Now we have the microscope that we use, which is the optical microscopes. Actually, that along with light, now actually we can supply the light with electricity. So if you're using that in an area where there is not enough light, maybe inside the air conditioned room. So if you need a good source of light, you can use that. So optical quality of the lenses have been improved children nowadays, and light microscope magnification also has increased over time. So remember 1500 only the magnification maximum in a light microscope, right? So but extreme magnifications are not possible, right? So that is a small timeline about that. Right, children, let's try to look into the definitions on this magnification. So actually magnification means children, like it is a process of enlarging an object in appearance. That means now if you have an object here, look at this diagram. This is a low magnification. So enlarged diagram means you can see a bigger version of that image. So, right? So if you try to measure the size of the images, see it's little bit different. So this is children low magnification and the high. So actually actual magnification, actual size, and the, the object will be different, right? So, good example, you can see it from this one. Any problems? Just ask me. Okay. Right. Now resolution. So what is magnification? Let's try to go back to it. Process of enlarging an object in appearance. That means how bigger the real image is. Resolution. Resolution means it is the distance between two distinguishable points. That means, children, now this is very important. If you look at this example, you can see here. I'll try to show you with a small annotation. Now can you see, children, from here to here, here to here, here to here? It's like blurry, right? Why? Because the resolution of this is not very good. This is a low resolution or image with a low resolution, right? So children, here, easily you can see the points, right? Between 2 points, if you choose, you can see it here. Very clearly you can see here. You can identify the sky along with this animal, right? Why? Because the distance between two distinguishable points are visible, right? So the higher the resolution, we can see the details of the image. See, you even can identify. See, so this grass with this body fur. See, children, it's very clear, right? Got it. Right, right, clear, right? Okay, next one. So I told you this is a high resolution one, right? Children, consider a digital photograph. Although it can be enlarged, magnified, you won't be able to see any more detail once it is reached in a certain size. So simply, we can say that actually that simply put, it will be low in resolution. That means, children, right? Now, for an example, if you take an image, right, you keep on zoom it in, and at a point, children, you can't see. You will see a blurry. Like, okay, so we can't identify the 2 points, right? So then in such a case, children, what can we do? That is not properly, the resolution is not there, right? So like that. That is just for your practical understanding. Right. Now, when you talk about the electron microscope, it can give a higher resolution. Actually, a lot of benefits are there. Let's try to talk about it. So you can see, children, here, it uses electron beams. Now, earlier one, children, we learned that they were using what? They were using what? They were using light, right? But here what? Here they are using electron beams. Got it, children? Electron beam. So they uses electron beams to pass through the specimen. So here, children, these electron beams will go through the specimen. So that's why, children, we can't use live cells, because most of the time the cells will be dead, because it is usually tested in a like a vacuum, right? The sample is placed in a vacuum environment, right? So like that, right? So that is little bit detailed information for your knowledge. So remember that this beam of electrons travel faster than light, and also this enables electron microscope to produce images with a higher magnification and a higher resolution. And also living, I told you, living cells cannot be observed. That's very important, children, because when we are using electrons, it can strike the living cells and it can alter as electrons are passed through a vacuum chamber. See, I told about this, right? So no living cell can be surviving this kind of chambers, children. So that you have to know very well. Is it clear to all of you? Right, Kiran? Right. So this is the National Institute, National Cancer Institute, right? So you can see. And also when compared to the light microscope children, it needs more space also. And also children, this is actually digitally monitored. So you don't need to visualize through your eye. So directly you can take a copy of the image. Whereas in light microscope, you don't have that facility unless students. Now about the electron microscope, I told you there are two types of electron microscopes, right? Transmission electron microscope and scanning electron microscope, right? So let's try to pay our attention towards this one, right? So let's go through this. This comparison will help us to understand the difference between the transmission electron microscope and the scanning electron microscope. Yes, go through it, everyone. Yes, children, what happens here? So you can see the transmission electron microscope, when you are examining, you can examine only thin or slight cells. That means thick ones you can't, right? Why, children? Because light is not sufficient to be transferred through that thick layers of cells, right? And then scanning electron surface anything, it doesn't matter, right? Okay. Then special features, it reveals structures in cells that are light microscope cannot. That means, so children, now here I wanted to correct again. Now this transmission electron microscope reveals structures that are not present in the light microscope, right? So that is actually, definitely you all know that, right? The electron microscope, right? Okay. So here the transmission means we should focus only thin section, okay? Like slices. But here the surfaces, you can even put the full structure, full treatment, and you can get it. Wait, children, I think it just into the next slide. Yeah, so then children, about the magnification. So you can see how enormous the magnification is, see, right? Okay. And then this one is times this much, 30,000. This is how much? 1 million. Yeah, children, hold on. Yeah, now, so you can see large it is, right? Children, now let's try to go for a overview of the light microscope along with the electron microscope. So you can see here, children, in light microscope, we can focus on living and the dead cells. But electron microscope, you can't test living cells because I told you it is placed in a vacuum and we allow electrons to pass through. Okay, so it's not possible actually for the living cells to survive. Then magnification, slower, higher here. Resolution, slower, higher. And portable and compact, I already we discussed about it. Large, difficult to transport. Cost-wise, yes, definitely. Light microscopes are cheaper and expensive in electron microscopes. So now we are going to learn, children, a maths part, right? Working out the magnification. So in order to know this one, there is a formula for you, but you need to know some quantities. Actual size of the object, size of the image. So when we are performing this calculation, children, right, make sure that it has same units. Okay. So let's try to do a calculation and see. So if it is centimeters, keep both the ones in centimeters. If not, convert it to appropriate one. If it is millimeters, up to you. If it is micrometers, it should be you. You can do it. So note down this one, children. So it is 1 centimeter is equals to 10 millimeters, and so it can be equated to 100 micrometers, which means it's 1 centimeter. So you can. So this is the formula triangle that you need to use, children. So I'll work out the formulas for you. So this is one formula. So the image size is equals to object size multiplied by the magnification. This is one formula. So if you want to find this object size is equals to image size divided by the magnification. Then if you want to find magnification, children, magnification is equals to image size divided by the object. Okay. So image size means, now this is the place. So this size, if it is in centimeters, object size also should be in centimeters. So that is what I meant by it should be the same units. Is it clear to all of you all? Right. Now let's go to the next part. So this is the same one. Right. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Can we work out this function? All of you? A plant cell was viewed under microscope and its actual size was 60, right? It says 60 micrometers. Image size was 3. So what would be the answer? You have to work out the total magnification. Total magnification. Yes, some students. So we have Pakshigan, the actual size we have. What did you do as a first step, children? Yes, anyone? Yes, now we have to convert the units, right? So what is the easiest conversion we can do? Yes, I have got some answers. Yes, very good. Right? So now we have, yes, in the previous slide, we have learned that one here, right? So you know, children, here you have, in this question, we have 60 micrometers, right? So, and we have centimeters, right? So it is up to you to convert it to centimeters or whatever, right? So whatever you prefer, you can convert, right? So here we have like around 10 of, so if it is 10, it's going to be children 0.01. Am I right? In centimeters. And then what's the formula we are going to use? Here, we are going to use, work out the total magnification. So total magnification means image size, you have to divide by what? The object size, right? So when you divide that one, how much you will get? So what actually you are going to do? So image size is there, and then image size you are going to divide by what? Object size. So then what will happen? Image size is the 3, the object one is how much? Then it is now should be in the converted form, right? So it's going to be how much? The magnification times how much? 3000, right? Clear? So that finishes our first module, right? So I told you that regarding this, what is that? The microscope, we are going to do a small quiz, it's a small assessment just to check your knowledge, right? Children, this magnification part, is it clear to all of your magnification? Please inform me about the magnification. Is the magnification part clear for you? Because I thought I will try to give you a quiz on that uh, so that we can practically assess. Okay, so you can use the formula also. Right. I will post this to all of you. Children, let's start. So you might need a pencil also to work out the things. Okay. Okay. Just click the link and you will be directed to the quiz. Yes, we got one student. Yes. Okay, good. We'll wait for the other. Ah, yeah, actually, I got a question. Yeah, so actually, they are asking the object size and the actual size mean the same. So actually, now let me show you the slide, the image size. So image size means that is the uh, like what you see actually, okay, through the lens. Okay, so here uh, the actual length, the object size is the actual one. Yes, means the same. Yes, you are correct. I saw it now. So yes, shall we start the quiz? Others, please click the link. Those who are there. Anyone having difficulty in the link? Just let me know. Right. Try to answer all the questions. Yes, let's start. If you have any problems, you can ask. Yes, yes. Some students are doing good. Yes. Read the question well, okay? So after this quiz, I will give you all a short break. I think, yeah. Yes, I think the time is up for the quiz. All right, good. Um, yeah, this quiz, yeah, you have done well there. Hmm, okay. Right, Taylor. Okay. So, okay, Shiva. So, let's have a short break. I couldn't give you a break actually, right? So let's have a short break of around 10 minutes. So you can join in 10 minutes from the time now. Okay. Once you are ready, please, once you have joined back again, just raise your hand. So I know, right? Let's have a short break then. Okay, children, shall we start? So if you're ready, let me know. Please confirm. Right, okay, let's start. Right, so we are towards the last phase of our session. So let's recap what we have learned today. Right. Let me share the screen. So while going through this, if you have any questions, you all can ask again, just to verify. Right. Okay. All right. So I told you today we covered this topic, right, children? So right. So under this topic, we spoke about the cellular structures and we spoke about the definition of a cell. So I hope you all can remember that, right? So can remember, right? Okay. So the basic structural and functional unit of living organisms, right? And here I told you that there are different types of cells, multicells, multicellular, and unicellular. Example of a multicell is humans, plants. Unicellular means like bacteria, that means single cell organisms. And then we discussed about the cell membrane structure, right? Along with the cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, ribosome, mitochondria, right? And these structures are only present in the plant cell. We covered that one, children. And then this is the cell representation. You all can see. Next time I'll give the break early. Okay, today. Right. So then we individually spoke about what is this cell membrane, what is actually the main function of it. So why that cell membrane? It is a very thin structure and it's a flexible. What do you mean by flexible? Right? It can adjust the shape and it is always the outer layer that surround the cell. And we learn about the property this semi-permeable. What is this semi-permeable means? That it is capable of allowing substances to pass through. That means not all, but some. And also it acts as a boundary. It controls what goes in and out of the cell. Right, Shiva? The next one is actually the cytoplasm. So it is a watery one, like a jelly-like watery substance. So what happens? Actually, it contains water, dissolved nutrients, and the salt. Very important because most of the chemical reactions happens in the what? The cytoplasm, right? So what happens, Shiv? Then as a result, cytoplasm is like the site of chemical, right? And then nucleus, very important. It is the control center of the cell. Actually, it contains the genetic material. We learn about that. And then children, the nucleus of the cell contains cell structure known as chromosome. So I told you chromosomes. Inside the chromosome only we have the DNA. See, right? And inside the DNA we can see genes. Okay, right? So gene means it's a section of the DNA that carries a what? Some information. Okay, is that clear? So actually we learned about the functions that DNA is involved. Actually, it's like why we say control center because it can govern metabolism, production of new substances, growth and repair, right? And we learn about the genetic code. It is contained in a set of rules that governs how the body function because it contains the information. Okay. So while going through this, children, any problems, any areas that not clear, please let me, okay? So that I can recap. It's like a summary of what we have learned today. Then children, genes. So I told you genes contains the information of a particular character, right? So we learned about that. So what are the characters such as like eye color, height, blood cell types, sun rolling, so and so on. Now some people can roll the tongue, some people cannot. Then children about the ribosome. Ribosomes are actually small, so we can't see it through the naked eye. Actually, it is involving protein synthesis. Significance of proteins. I told you proteins are very much important because why? Majority of our cellular activities are governed by proteins. So cells in all living things, the body structure components, and the majority of the components in the body uses proteins. And I spoke about the word crucial. The proteins are crucial. That means really important. It's really necessary for organisms to have proteins. Why? Because it is involved in growth, repair, and development. And then mitochondria. So mitochondrial children, you can see it is the energy powerhouse. It is anywhere in the cytoplasm you can have it. So it produces energy. How it produces energy? By aerobic respiration. So we learn children that animal cell lack some parts, right? Some organelles such as plant cell, vacuole, chloroplast, right? Okay. So these parts now we will learn. So I told you about the cell wall. It is exterior to the part of the cell. Actually, it's a rigid structure that maintains the shape of the plant, and also it is a tough layer, right? Regarding the permeability, we can't speak about permeability there. It's just a rigid structure, basically providing strength, protection, and support to the plant. And then, children, we spoke about the vacuole. That vacuole is contained in cell sap, which contains water nutrients and other molecules. And we spoke about chloroplast. It is actually containing a green color pigment known as chlorophyll, which is what? Involving photosynthesis. So chloroplast is the site of photosynthesis, right? Now let's talk about the primal cell. These are the common cellular structures, and I told you that there is a formula here. It should be cell wall. So this is kind of like an overview of what we have learned. Right, then we did a couple of quizzes, and then we have moved on to our next chapter, photosynthesis. So you know photosynthesis take place in the chloroplast, and we learned what are the requirements. You can see here the chloroplast and the light energy. And we learn the definition of photosynthesis, the chemical process that produces glucose, right, in the chloroplast of the plant. So we learn what are the raw materials, we learn the word equation, right, and the chemical equation. And we spoke about now, plant is producing glucose, which is plant sugar. So why is it important? Because it can be used as a storage. It can be used to store oil or fat, to build up new cell walls for the protein synthesis, to produce energy from respiration. And we need a fish there also. So why living things need energy? To grow, to repair, what else? For the growth and repair mainly, right? And then we learn how do plants and animals produce their energy from. So plants from photosynthesis, animals from food intake. And then we came into aerobic respiration. Location is mitochondria. And we learned the definition. It is a chemical reaction that releases energy in the form of ATP. What is ATP? Adenosine triphosphate. So then we learn this is a frequent reaction inside the body. And we learn the word equation. This is the word equation. And this is the chemical equation. And we went through a comparison, children, about photosynthesis and respiration. And then the last topic we covered was about the microscopy, right? So we learned actually the importance of these microscopes. Like we learned that in order to enlarge small image only, because most of the cellular structures are not visible to the naked eye, so we need to enlarge them. And then, children, we also learned about the types of microscopes. And actually, why we need to use a microscope. Especially, I want to highlight that human eye is capable of seeing objects which are zero point 0.1 millimeter only. So that's why we need them. And you can see here the plant cells and animal cells are very small. So we can't see them. So that's why we need a microscope. Right. So then, children, we learned about the microscope's types. First is the light microscope, then it is the electron microscope. Electron microscope has two further subdivisions. That is the transmission electron microscope and the scattering electron microscope. So then we focus our attention to the parts of a electron light microscope. So I told you these are the main parts that are available. So you should know them. And also in order to observe the sample, we need to have the sample placed on the glass side. Then want to correct that. So then before putting the glass slide onto the stage, we cover it with a cover slip, right? So then after that, we check for the magnification. Children, about the benefits of this light microscope is that it can be used to observe living cells and observe samples when relatively low magnification, and when there is like we don't need to go for a very extensive magnification, we can use it, and sample of any size, and it's small, and the apparatus can be portable and be carried through. Then this is how it looks like when you are magnifying it. So it's maximum 1500 only. Then children, we learned about the timeline. This is for your knowledge how the evolvement of this microscope here. Then children, the last part what we did was the calculation. So children, magnification and resolution, we identified the differences. The magnification is how enlarged an object is with related to its real appearance. Resolution means children the distance between 2 points. I mean distance between two distinguishable points. So if it is that if the children magnification is how big the object is. So that is no problem. But speaking about the clarity, resolution is very important because if the resolution is not proper, actually the image will be little bit blur. Okay. Then children we came to the electron microscope. So you know electron microscope uses electron beams and they can pass through the beam. So then they can travel faster than the light and also they can produce a higher magnification and a resolution. So make a note of this. Living cell cannot be observed under this because the reason is students that when the electrons are being passed, actually it's done in a vacuum chamber. So no cells can survive in such environments. Okay. Then can you remember we spoke about the two forms of electron microscopes, transmission, scanning. So this is the summary for that. We already learned about it. And comparison of microscopes, light and electron we did. So then we learned the formula for the calculation. Yes, actual side. So these are the three formulas that you can build up. Magnification, image size, object size. Right? Right. So this one. So children see the size of the image means it's a magnified size. Okay. Right. And we did this question. Right. So that's the lesson one. Then children, any question children with related to the lesson, please let me know. Right. So any problems? Is it clear? Is all the concepts clear to you all? Right. Okay. So yes, I'm happy that it's clear. So very yes, very much interacting. Yes, very good. So children, next day we will be covering our second module, right? Which is the organs about this one, right? So it is going to be our next chapter, right? So if you don't have any questions, right, we can wind up. So thank you so much for joining, right? So let's meet up next week. All right. So then, goodbye, children. Have a good day. Take care.